The holidays, the season to be grateful, filled with joy and wonderful moments, meant to be shared with the people that you love. Unfortunately, it didn't go quite as planned, because just a day after Thanksgiving, we received the terrible news that a landmark of the company, Sakanata Chloe, had departed from Hololive. And while we were still reeling from the news, another major bombshell dropped.
So, thank you for being here, and I'm sorry to worry you. I know this is going to come as a huge shock, and for that I'm sorry. I'll be graduating from Hololive on January 3rd, 2025.
Ceres Fauna is graduating from Hololive and not becoming an affiliate like Amelia Watson is doing, a hard graduation. Clearly, something has changed within Hololive for us to be losing so many powerhouse VTubers in such a short amount of time. But to understand what happened, we gotta go back to how it all started. We gotta go back to the root of the problem. 2024 has been a rough year overall for the VTuber industry. And not only in terms of stock price being down because of two factors. One, the collapse of Nijisanji yen, which shaked off the faith of the economy in the entire VTubing industry. And two, because of the value of the yen plummeting due to Japan's financial crisis. But when it comes to Hololive in particular, and having 5 talents graduate in a single year and 2 being already announced to graduate in a single year is a new record for them. And it's never been seen before, unless we count 2020 in when they closed in the Chinese branch. And it's all the more worrisome when the company doesn't pump out talents at a pace where it can outmatch the current graduation rate if they keep going. Because Hololive CEO Yago has stated in a recent shareholders Q&A that they don't intend to pump out more talents from now on, and that they want to focus on being able to promote each and individual performer as best as they could, as well as wanting to focus on hiring performers that don't cannibalize each other and that are each suited to their own segment, being music or games. But in just a few months, we have now seen the graduation of several powerhouses, such as Minato Aqua's graduation on August 28th, where she cited creative differences between her and the company's direction.
理由に関しては、会社との方向性の違いが大きな理由です。
And then Amelia Watson's conclusion of her streaming activities a mere month later on September 20th. And Amelia Watson leaving deferred from the regular graduation we had seen before and ushered in a new wave of innovation within Hololive. Mainly because what Amelia Watson is doing is not a hard graduation, but rather a conclusion of streaming activities. Ame noted during her announcement that she would sort of be the guinea pig for this new experiment, and while she is not 100% sure how that will work out, she believes it will make sense in the future. There seems to be a lot of confusion as for these two concepts, and recently Hololive has released a letter clarifying what they mean moving forward. It seemed the idea originally stemmed from a conversation between Amelia Watson and management, where she had fear about graduations because the word graduation holds such a bad reputation.
And, I even told them, I was telling them, I don't want to really do, graduation in a way, because I don't know, it's so sad. It has, such a reputation for being so sad, and, we're virtual. I feel like there were other ways maybe we could try doing things.
And Cover Corp recently did release a letter to help fans differentiate between a hard graduation and a conclusion of streaming activities. Gosh, they really need to find a new word for this. It seems to be a kind of euphemism for graduation as to minimize the feelings of anxiety or sadness associated with the G word, while leaving the door open for the talents to potentially come back either for events, large collabs, or even make cameo appearances here and there in the future rather than letting their IP remain unused. However, Cover Corp does note that how much talents will participate in these kind of projects will vary based on the circumstances of each talent and the production, and as such, the conclusion of streaming activities for each talent may not always be the same, and that it is also important to note that neither of the term graduation or conclusion of streaming activities outweigh or trumps the other. Our goal as a production is to provide a meaningful and supportive new beginning for our talents, and we believe that any form of departure is a decision by the talent that is to be respected. And honestly, when they announced Amelia's new affiliate status, I think fan bases had questioned, but they remained hopeful. Sure, we had lost Aqua and Ame in less than 2 months, but we rationalized ourselves with the fact that they had been with the company for over 6 and 4 years respectively, and honestly, who else stays that long working at the same place? But then the other shoe dropped. Sakanata Chloe, who had been active with the company since 2021, also announced her graduation. Although her reasons for leaving felt valid and genuine, after all, she had been having health issues ever since she's been active, but then she also mentioned a desire to pursue a different creative path, one that offered greater challenges than her current role at the company. Something that rang eerily similar to Aqua's reason for graduating. What's interesting is that Chloe will also be going the Amelia Watson route, where she could possibly reappear as an affiliate in the future, and she ended her statement asking fans to believe her words over speculations.
あともう一つ伝えておきたいことなんですけど、現段階でもですね、憶測だったり、噂だったり、本当に、見受けられます。坂本本人からの言葉を信じてもらえたらなと思います。なんでかって当事者であり、辞める本人なので。
But then, not even 24 hours later, we suddenly received a tweet from Ceres Fauna saying she had a very important announcement to make. And unfortunately, I think no one was prepared for what came next.
I'll be graduating from
there we go.
Hololive on January.
It sent the internet into a frenzy, ranging from anger.
What are you doing, Pips? I'm more angry than anything. I'm in a really bad mood.
To despair.
Come on, come here. Give a big hug. I know you guys we all need a big hug today. I know it's tough. It's really tough to think, you know.
As friends and saplings collectively mourn the loss of a powerhouse. And even though we all know we will be able to see Fauna again as an indie probably, in fact her indie account reached over 200,000 subscribers in less than 24 hours, it still won't be the same. Fans will miss her interaction with the rest of the Holo members. It does signify the end of an era, and it's never going to be the same again. So 1 graduation, 2 graduation, okay, but now 3, 4, this isn't just a mere coincidence anymore. Could it be that the company who once held 93 employees back in 2020 and are now recording 602 employees in 2024 has grown too large for its spot? Because more than we are let on to is definitely happening behind the scenes at Hololive that is pushing these talents to leave, and I want to delve into these reasons. And no, it's not because of League of Legends. For one, we can start by basing ourselves off what other talents have been saying about the working condition and the working environment at the company. Mostly the shift from streaming activities to a more idle-like activities on top of an increase in overall mandated workload. Laplace recently went over Chloe's reasons for graduating, exclaiming that she never expected this amount of work when she joined the company, and especially the amount of staggering studio work that she ended up having to do almost weekly.
工藤が引退っていうかあれか配信活動終了か理由がなんか仕事が多いみたいなめっちゃわかるだからその月に1回とか2ヶ月に1回とかかなと思っててけどもう全然違くてもう月のほとんどスタジオに行ったりスタジオじゃないところにお仕事でいろんなところに行ったりその配信じゃなくて配信以外の お仕事がめ
When you joined one of these companies and became a VTuber back in 2020, for example, your expectations were probably to become a streamer. However, as the company grew bigger, the demand for idol work also became big, which doesn't necessarily fit with the direction every single talent wants to go in. Fauna herself said her reason for leaving is not because she doesn't want to be there, and it's not because she doesn't want to be an idol. She said streaming was and still is her dream job.
I love streaming. It was and still is my dream job. So thank you for letting me live my dream. I'm not leaving because I don't want to be here, and I'm not leaving because I don't want to be an idol.
So I think this rules out a few theories. She has also stated before that she dislikes traveling to Japan for recording and concerts. Those back and forth travel also force her to take breaks from streaming, which is what she wants to do in the first place. It's very possible she decided that she wanted to focus on what she preferred doing from now on. In addition to streaming, talents within the company may also be required to attend lessons, participate in recordings, and fulfill job responsibilities. Managing these tasks alongside potential health issues can be quite demanding, and you can start to understand why some talents are becoming burnt out.
レッスンもあるし、収録もあるし、仕事もあるし、配信もあるし、うわーみたいにな
Laplace ends this clip by saying that the only reason she manages to pull this off is because she doesn't sleep, and somebody else who isn't built like her probably wouldn't be able to handle this pace. For example, Chloe opened up about a certain recording session where her throat issues were acting up to the point where she was afraid she would vomit, yet was pushed to keep recording further, eventually leading to her crying when she arrived home. I've requested the help of my translator to bring you this exclusive clip.
でも当時はもうえげつなさすぎて、24時間寝てる時間以外は咳してんじゃねえかぐらいな、もしかしたら寝てる時間もしてんじゃねえかぐらいな感じの一生咳出てたんだけど、何するにもが少し落ち着いてまた戻ったのよ次の日になぜかで、もうこれはダメだってなって、これは多分だけどダメなやつだと思いながら、でも収録行かなきゃいけないから行ったんすよね。でその収録の時にもうマジで辛かったんだけど、2曲撮んなきゃいけないと。でいや2曲撮れるかすら分かんないっていう話したんだけど、1曲すら分かんないよっていう話をしてて、でもとりあえずやってみましょうって言われて、で撮ったんだけど、もうね咳やばすぎて、もうなんかさ、なんだろうな、それぞれのやるべきこととかそれぞれ仕方ない事情があるわけで、その中での出来事だと思うんだけど、でも坂本はやっぱり合ってないんだなと今回ので思いましたね。自分はこの環境に合っていないなって。マジで思ったのは、マネちゃんが味方でよかったなって思った。マネちゃんはね、やっぱお母さんなだけあってお子さんもいるんで、お母さん的な存在なんでね、寄り添ってくれるから、だから大丈夫かなって、本当にないのかなとか思いながら、もう永遠に止まらない咳の中やってて、でね、なんかその時には吐き気とかは治ってたんだけど、咳のしすぎというか、歌ったら歌った分だけ咳が出ちゃって、で咳するほどに吐きそうになっちゃって、マジで嘔吐しちゃうと出しましたけど、でもう終わった後に喋り声があまりにももうガラガラギャラギャラで、なんかその次の日に収録しなきゃいけないって言われてたんだけどいやごめんだけど無理ですって言って、ちょっと本当に声出ないの今って言って、そもそも地声ですらギャランギャランになって、もう咳でずっと咳しちゃう状態にまた戻っちゃって、でいやごめんだけどほんと通れないっすって言ったんだけど、なんか無理だとずらせないって言われて、でいや マジで無理なんですっていうことをね、いろんなこと提案したの。こうしたらいいんじゃないですか、ああしたらいいんじゃないですか、これだったらどうでしょう、ああだったらどうでしょう、ああだったらどうでしょう、言ったんだけど、マネちゃんはわかりますって、私はわかるんですけどってなってて、マジかと思って、もう死んじゃうと思ってね、なんか多分だけどあんまり応援してくれてる人もいい気持ちがしないから良くないっていう話もしたんだけど、まあ、無理だって言われて、マジかとマジで言ってるか、マジかってなって、でもうそれでももうなんか坂本的にはメンタルがマジで、いやなんか本当に大事に思ってくれよ、せめて商品としてと思って、おいおいおいってなって、でもうクオリティカスなのも取ったのもすっごい本当は嫌だったし、でその後にもねいやありえないだろみたいなのがね、運営さん側であって、ありえないだろ系のミスが2つあって、もうなんかってなっちゃって、もうそんなことあるみたいな、なんかいろいろすごいなってなって、なんかもうマジでへこんじゃって、落ち込んじゃって、で帰って泣いちゃったの泣くなよって感じなんだけど、あまりにも辛すぎて、なんかいろんなことがで泣いちゃって、
Usada Pecora is another who's voiced concerns about the recent changes within the company, noting a significant increase in restrictions. She recounts a conversation with her manager where she expressed her desire to explore new games, only to be told that the company's current priorities were stability and safety.
多分人それぞれメンバーとかでもさ、やりたいこととか向かってる先とかがやっぱ違ったりもするじゃん。それこそ今なんかホロライブなんてもうアーティスト路線行こうとしてるやん。やっぱペコーラは歌うのも好き、ライブも好き。ペコラはそっちよりかは配信の方をちょっと重要視してるなとか、やっぱちょっと方向性は人それぞれ違う。いろいろさ、やっぱホロライブとか入ってるといろんなお仕事やっぱもらって、まあその配信ができなくなる時間もある。でもやっぱなんだかんだね、結局ね、配信大事なんよね。基本なのよ。配信やらなかったらね、きついと思う。まえちゃんとかに、このゲームやりたいですとか、こういうのやりたいです、こういうのやりたいです、やりたいですみたいな感じで、もうすごいやりたいみたいな感じの。でも、ペコラさん、今のホロライブは、安定した、もう安全に、みたいな。ちょっと一瞬方向性がさ、あれなんか変わってきてるなっていう時期があったから、いや、もっと配信に力入れましょうよみたいな感じで言ったのよ。でも今は、そうじゃないですよ。そっか。変わりよな、いろいろと大きくなると思いながら、その時は飲み込んだよ。だったけど、まあでも人それぞれやりたいことも違うし、ペコーラは今それで自分のやりたいようにマイペースにできてるから、まあハッピーって感じ。
Which truly makes us wonder if the company is still suited for those VTubers that didn't necessarily sign up to be a mega performer like Suisse or Mori Calliope, but that are more streaming oriented. Obviously, if you signed up for a job description a few years ago and the job turns out to become completely different over the course of several years, you would probably also reconsider your career path at that point. That being said, it may also mean that new Hololive hires know exactly what they're getting into, thus we will be seeing less graduation in terms of new hires in the future, hopefully at least. However, there is so much conflicting information in regards to the talent's workload that I'd rather present all of it to you and let you form your own opinion on it. For instance, Subaru claims that her workload is currently lower than it was 2 years ago.
2年前がガチ一番やばかったな。信じられないぐらい働いてた。でも今年さ、全然働いてないでも2年前はマジで、だからご飯とかもなんか食べてる暇なくて、もうカリカリだったから、だからもうカリカリだったし、もう常に何かに追われててみたいな。まあスバルがね、多分ね容量をね抑えてなかっ 今年ガチで働いてない。
So again, it's hard to be specific as to whether these are new company policies that are bothering the talents or if they've always been there. There has been some speculations, but again, these are only speculations in regard to 3 of the talents posting on their alt accounts between the 17th and 21st of November, which may have been indicative of something brewing or policy recently added that they disagreed with. Adding to that, in a recent stream, Kiara emphasized that the problem was multifaceted and intricate, and specifically stated that it's not just overwork or because the company is now publicly traded. She also clarified something many wondered, that participation in big project is not mandatory, as well as sponsorships, Hololive festivals, and also clarified that taking activity breaks from corporate-wide events is allowed. She knows it looks bad, but it's part of the normal cycle of gaining and losing talents. She adds that while the job is easy and it pays well, money is not everything, and some girls might just want to do something else. Thank you, Wawa, for this knowledge. And it's true that money isn't everything. Towa recently denied claims that the livers earned outrageous sums of money.
なんかさ、ホロライブの稼ぎがうんぬんかんぬんみたいなとんでもないツイート流れてきたけど、あれなんなん？えぐくない？ね、全然そんなことないんだけど。
And I'm sure they make decent living. But there's a study that's been conducted in the US that found that money increased most people's happiness, but only up to the $75,000 threshold. After this threshold, test subjects found money generally impacted their well-being less and less than the ones in the lower brackets. In a similar vein, Shiori has also claimed that she's totally free to choose what kind of idol work she's willing to take, and she's even confirmed she has no intention of leaving. Even though her goals aren't necessarily aligned with idol activities, she really wants to make her own choices when it comes to her own content.
But I just wanted to say that I don't have any intentions. Oh, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the crap. I don't have any intentions of leaving. I have my own goals. They are not necessarily related to idol activities, and I'm actually not forced to follow any idol activities. All the covers you see from me, like the song covers, I just sing because I like singing. And I'll continue to sing when it strikes me, when I feel like I'm in the mood to sing.
Secondly, the increasing amount of restrictions seems to be a factor at play here, and the talents have been voicing complaints regarding restrictions, especially this year. Hosho Marine, while she understands the restrictions are in place to protect them, has described management as suffocating.
ちょっとやばい時間がぶっちゃけ今の運営の体制ってホロメンたちは息苦しくないんでしょうか心配ですマリンもね息苦しいなと思っていましたぶっちゃけ息苦しかった正直確かにあれもダメこれもダメで息苦しいなと思っていたんだがでも確かにこのくらいしっかりなんだろう守って
And Pecora has also mentioned in the past that her project were denied by management. Crony also lamented how her requests for game permissions have been ignored for 20 days straight. So this is definitely an issue with restrictions, but also perhaps mismanagement.
Senua off stream? Yeah, but that's because I don't have perms. Dude, you have no idea how hard I've been trying. I've been ignored for 20 days straight. They would respond to some people for, well, not some people, everyone else regarding game perms as to why they can't approve it. And then with me, they didn't respond for 20 days.
Except Crony has also stated several times in the past that she really enjoyed working with her direct manager. And afterwards, she's remarked that if these were serious issues, she wouldn't have vented on stream about them. And honestly, maybe it's a good sign that talents are actually allowed to vent frustrations and aren't muzzled by upper management, unlike certain other companies.
Yeah, like I saw some people who wanted to hear my thoughts about it since, you know, I would mention like you know, some frustrations with management here and there, but the thing is, like, those concerns were only brought up because they're not really that big of a
deal, since if things were actually problematic, I wouldn't be bringing it up on stream, and if things got really bad to that point, I don't think I would be here. And I mean, like, I don't think anything can be perfect, and like, I have my disagreements here and there, but regardless of what's happened, I'm pretty happy to be here.
So, is it really an issue with direct managers, upper management, or is it external influence on the Hololive group? It's hard to say with the little amount of information we have, but Sakanata from Hololive JP doesn't believe that management is evil, but she does admit that if you are a talent with a clear vision of your streams and activities, there might be differences in acknowledgement, which brings me to my next point: mismanagement issues. Ideally, management exists to support you and furnish resources so that you as a talent can focus on the creative aspects of the business. It should enable you to flourish and propel you in directions that you wouldn't have considered without it. They should handle, or at least help alleviate, the logistics side of things. However, in some of the cases raised by talents, it does feel like management has been dropping the ball lately, which is worrisome. Earlier this year, we had the case with Ina where she tweeted that due to the company's internal logistical issues, she will not be able to post on social medias or even stream until further notice, and she had to cancel everything that she had planned for the time being. On her return, she went live to explain her situation and her frustrations, saying problems could have been prevented if, quote, the parties involved had done a better job.
In hindsight, I feel like when I made the first tweet, I was kind of very disappointed and frustrated with how things had to be, because it very well could have been prevented if I feel like the parties involved could have done a better job.
But even more worrying is Regis Altair's rant regarding management, lack of responsiveness, and help when it came to sending him his 3D equipment.
Today I got some pretty bad news. Not like bad news, but very disappointing news when it comes to working with this company. It's an I told you so moment. Wasted 4 months of my time, this company. So, thanks for being here and boosting my mood, guys. It's unbelievable how much better I can do stuff myself. It was my Rokuko coil. The company was gonna send it over, but then it wasn't working, quote unquote. It wasn't working back in July. They said, okay, you know, we're gonna try to fix it and we'll get back to you. Sure. Okay, sure. I wait 4 months. All right, taking too long. What's happening? Oh, they're still working on it. Okay, send it over. I'll do it myself. I'll fix it myself. They send it over. I do all the custom stuff. I get it. I'd spend 1 hour troubleshooting and it works. And guess what? The kicker is there was a nice layer of dust on the top, which means they didn't even touch it. They didn't even work on it. It really pisses me off. Like the lack of support that we get from this company is insane. That's what I've been dealing with this whole entire year, these past 2.5 years. Let's just play some more video games, shall we?
And shortly after this rant, he went on a hiatus and is still on a hiatus right now. And honestly, I would be upset if I was in his place too. Brandon the Orc, an indie VTuber, offers a compelling explanation for this. Management has little to no incentive to push talent beyond their current capabilities due to the existing salary structures.
Lots of different answers, but I'll go over one that I think is a major contributor. And that has to do with management. Everybody saw this coming. Management, unfortunately, has no stake in the talent that they're managing. If the talent does really, really well, they don't get extra money. They get a set salary, just like whatever, as far as I know, whatever they get, they get. However, if the talent that they're managing screws up and does something risky and ends up damaging their reputation or the reputation of the company that they work for, then the manager is definitely going to get in big trouble. They're going to get chewed out at the next meeting. They might get reassigned. They might, get fired or something like that. So from a manager's perspective, I see no reason for them to let their talent ever do anything risky. They just want them to do the same thing that everybody else is doing that's been tried and true.
So really, management has little motivation to enhance talent development. That's why the safe, familiar path is often chosen over innovation, despite its potential for stagnation. And here lies the problem. Hololive wasn't built on safe. It was built on innovation. It was built on excitement and authentic relationship between fans and streamer. Back then, we even used to call it Hololive because some of the content was so yabai. and it's their authenticity that attracted both fans and talents. Moving forward, Hololive will have to figure out a way to find a balance between taking risks and maintaining a clean brand image to satisfy investors, as well as keep their talents out of controversies at the same time. Many fans are also increasingly worried that Hololive's problems and extra work stem from investors' pressure due to the company going public. After all, investors expect a growth on their investments from quarter to quarter, but at what point do you reach a ceiling and start squeezing talents and employees to get some of that growth? Cover Corp went public over a year ago on March 27, 2023, and while this has brought its own set of challenges, it has also enabled their growth and success. Without access to this capital, they might not be as well known today, or even be able to compete with rival companies such as Nijisanji in the long run. Heck, Yago himself said that without going public, the company would have had to close its doors back then. So unfortunately, this is a dilemma that Vtuber fans will have to grapple with. It's a double-sided sword. Change does mean growth, but too much change will lead to more of these large IP Vtubers leaving the company. If we want the growth to be long-lasting and impactful, Hololive is now at a turning point where they need to be very careful about the way they handle things from now on, because too much change could break what they have built so far. And clearly right now, some things aren't working properly. However, I still believe that those challenges can be overcome with the right proactive mindset and some trajectory fixing. There's also a lot of rumors regarding Mr. Tanigo or Yago's loss of ownership within the company. This isn't the case. He is still the majority shareholder. The company BlackRock has also been a major point of contempt in these talks because the company has a controversial reputation for several reasons that I won't get into here. But another misconception that I'm seeing online a lot is that BlackRock did a hostile takeover. They did not do a hostile takeover. In fact, BlackRock owns very few shares, being only 0.61% of the company. They are an investment company, so they will most likely invest in stocks they believe will make money for their clients and for their portfolios. And as worrisome as it is to see them seep into our hobbies, the truth is BlackRock is still very far from being a threat, and it would require several more steps for them to wield any kind of real power on the Cover Corp board, at least for the moment. Besides, and not to get too technical here, but if BlackRock ever crosses the 5% share threshold, in case they ever want to do some fucky-wucky hostile takeover stuff, we would immediately be notified because they would have to register a Schedule 13D with the SEC, which means that their ownership is now public knowledge, and therefore they would lose the element of surprise in a hostile takeover. The other fear netizens have is that BlackRock manages an absurd amount of money. So even if they only own a tiny portion of a company, the company could potentially bend over backwards to please them in the hopes of getting more money. And although there is no concrete proof that it has come to that yet, it's important for fanbase to remain vigilant on this point. But right now, I believe we should tackle the more pressing issues, which are the points I cited previously. Currently, Tanigo possesses 38.79% of company shares. The second largest shareholder is Iko Fukuda, and he holds only 4.18%. The remaining shareholders each own negligible amounts, granting them minimal influence over company matter, because a shareholder's voting power is generally equivalent to the numbers of shares they own. Consequently, while Yago probably takes decisions in regards to what the investors want, he still effectively retains primary control over most companies' decisions. And I know this because I've watched every single episode of Succession.
You're a moron.
I am. At the end of the day, whatever if the reasons I listed above are true or not true, or whether Hololive is shifting too hard into an idol-focused company, whether it be because they went public, or because of restrictions, or even mismanagement, intentional or not, Hololive is going to have a big optics problem from now on, and they need to solve and tackle this issue as soon as they can. Perhaps they could bring some of the graduated talents back for an event soon to show they are still in good terms or something. That could be one way of lifting morale and squashing a lot of those speculations, if things are indeed going well behind the scenes as they claim. Until then, I'll believe in Fubuki.
白神が辞めるときはホロライブが信用ならんかったときや
そう、ホロライブもう信用ないなーってなくなった時に白神ホロライブやめるのでね、白神がホロライブやめない限りはまだホロライブ信じていけるなって思ってます。
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. I just launched my new merch drop on umumarkets.com, and you can now cozy up for the winter in these loungewear. Use code Black Friday to get 50% off your next item, and check out my second channel and Patreon for more exclusive content. I'll see you in the next one. Sakanata Chloe the part. Oh, this doesn't make sense. It seemed the idea originally stemmed from a conversation between Amelia Watson and management, where she stated that make cameo appearances here and there in the future, rather than letting their LP remain unused. Rather than that's an I. Rather than letting their IP to despair, as friends and saplings collectively mourned the loss of a. I feel like I've said landmark a lot. And the idol work, that I would prefer to present all of it to you and let you guys, from corporate wide events is also allowed. She knows it looks bad, but it's part of the normal cycle of gaining. I feel like, okay, I'm switching too much between the verbs here. Want the growth to be long lasting and impactful. Hololive is sort of at a turn. I can't say this. If we want the growth manages an absurd amount of money. So even if they only own a tiny portion, the other fear, net as